Hi everyone, welcome to the office of Dynamite Studios in this warm Italian Saturday evening. First of all, thank you all for being here. And if you've been part of the Fracture community for a while, thank you twice and sorry for the delay in getting this video out. I know you've been waiting for this for a while. So if you don't know already what is Fractured, Fractured is the first sandbox MMORPG, open world sandbox MMORPG, mixing action combat with fully interactable environments that aim to appeal to both PvE players who like cooperative gameplay and hardcore PvP players who like heavily competitive gameplay. There are a lot of innovations behind Fractured, but I won't indulge in explaining those in this video. So head to fracturedmmo.com, just read the homepage of the website and everything is explained there if you want to find out more. So today we're going to show you about half an hour of Fractured gameplay. You will see some exploration of the map, which is about 1 kilometer wide. You're going to see some PvE action, the art direction of the game, and in general how the game plays out. Of course, Fractured is in a very rough state right now. This is a pre-alpha build and is actually the product of the work of a 7-people team for about 7 months. Now, I know you might be wondering, how is it possible that a 7-people team can make an MMO with such ambitions? Well, the answer is called Spatial OS and is the world building platform that we are using to make the backend of the game together with Unity, which is used as the front end. We're looking forward to expanding this team, and we're going to do this after our Kickstarter campaign, which is going to start on the 1st of June. So if you haven't signed up already, head to fracturedmmo.com and create a free user account. You will have the chance to read our newsletters, find out more about the game in our new feature spotlights and other blog updates. You can follow us on social media, and most important of all, you will know exactly when our Kickstarter campaign begins. So, I guess we can head to the game. Well, here we are in this small player village in the mountains. I will be recording this video with Uriel, co-founder of Dynamite Studios and lead designer of Fracture, the mind behind the game. So let's get out of town right away and see what the wilderness has to offer. We have scattered the map with several hundreds AIs, some neutral animals, some hostile animals, some monsters. Let's see what we meet first. And it's a bear. Now this one is definitely aggressive and quite tough. We would be approaching this fight in a very classic way. Warrior at the front, mage in the back. And it went down. This was quite easy. Now let's continue our adventure. We'll be skipping this video ahead a few times to stick to the most relevant parts of the footage. And first of all, let me tell you something about the character customization and building in Fractured. As you might know, Fractured is a strictly classless game. This means that you can set the strengths and weaknesses of your character when you create it, and after that you can learn and use literally any ability in the game with any character. Of course, you cannot use them all at the same time, you have to choose. And when do you do that? It's quite simple. Anytime you are in front of a fire, be it in your own place or in a public tavern or even in a temporary encampment in the wilderness, you can start a resting phase where you choose a set of abilities. How many you can choose depends on your intelligence, and usually it's more than 8, but only 8 fit the hotbar at the bottom, which is also shared with items. So how did I build my character? I've made quite of a resilient one when I created it. I've picked a lot of strength, I've picked a lot of constitution, and during the last resting phase, I've selected 5 abilities that give me a lot of crowd control and mobility, some self buffs to my attack speed, and I've also brought one item with myself, a potion that I can use out of combat. I've just used it actually, that helps me recovering health and endurance very quickly. My colleague Uriel instead has made a character with a lot of intelligence and perception and a set of ice-based abilities, a lot of crowd control again, a lot of AoE, very good for both PvE and PvP, I think. It's mostly group character. I don't think it would fare very well alone, but it's a nice one nonetheless. Our two characters are working fairly well together, I would say. We don't have any problems getting rid of these creatures, but we've lost a lot of endurance in the last fight, and I've just recovered it by swapping out some life. Oh, there's a deer there, and he's gone. Yeah, which brings me to another point. In Fracture, creatures age, and when they're younger and or adult, they yield the best loot in terms of like pelts and other resources, but they're also more difficult to fight and more difficult to catch in this case. So maybe later on in the video we will find one which is older and slower. Now, I guess you've seen enough of this part of the world. Here we are, still looking for a bridge to cross this damn river. And actually, let's talk about this river. Now, this river is procedurally generated, just like the rest of the map you're seeing, 1 square kilometer. And we've spent several months devising tools and a pipeline to build large portions of the world without any human intervention, or as little as possible human intervention. So this happens by connecting different biomes with different characteristics. And right now we are in a grassland biome, which is quite flat with vegetation like birches and oaks. But let's see what happens when we cross this bridge. And here we are in the mountain forest biome. Now I know it might look quite similar to you, that's because we don't have so many art assets yet, but if you watch carefully you should notice that vegetation here is made exclusively or almost exclusively of pines, which are a mountain tree, and later on in the video you will notice how the shape of the world is different, right? There are way more rocks, way more mountain formations, you go uphill and downhill way more often, and this has all been decided by our game designer when setting up the basic data for this biome, and the connection between the two was absolutely seamless without any loading time, and actually there is never any loading time in Fracture. Alright, let's switch to the bow now and play as an archer for a little while. In Fractured you can configure 2 different sets of weapons anytime you're out of combat, and you can switch between one and the other by pressing the tab button. You don't have to wait for a resting phase to do that, you can do that at any time. And here I'm shooting my colleague, which is definitely not a great idea. Also, it's not a great idea to play as an archer together with such a fragile mage, but let's do it anyway for fun. As you can see, 2 abilities in my hotbar are now disabled. One requires a pointy or a slashing weapon to be used, and the other one, Shield Bash, requires a shield, of course. A result of procedural generation is also that there are different spawners and different wildlife in different biomes. In this case, the mountain area is full of wolves, and to the rescue! Whoops. Okay, well, I guess I have to finish this alone. It's quite hard, but I should be able to pull this off. Don't worry too much though, Auril is actually not dead, he's just knocked out and he should be back soon. Here he is. So the reason why he's still standing is because he has depleted his endurance but not his health. So the way this works is that most of the damage you receive in Fractured only removes your endurance, which is the big green bar at the top of your character, and only a few special conditions actually remove your health, or if you keep getting attacked while you're knocked out with 0 endurance. Most of the hostile creatures, since they're not actually evil like wolves or boars, they will stop attacking you once you're knocked out. But, you know, really evil monsters or evil players could actually murder you, and then you will be forced to respawn at the closest town, and you would drop all of your equipment in your body and you have to go back and collect it. So let's see if we can find a deer once more in this new area. We skipped ahead again. We have traveled for another 5 minutes, I guess. Oh, here he is. Okay, so I guess we can try to surround him. And no hope for you, little boy. Boom! Done, finally. Here I am hurting my own colleague again with my sword. So soon we should transition into yet a new biome, This time it's the Goblin territory, which is a variation of the grasslands you've seen in the beginning of the video. And one thing you should know is that in Fractured, everything you see around you that you can interact with, such as a resource node, like a tree, or an AI, like the monsters we're fighting, is streamed all around you by Spatial OS. And this is streamed in an area that is barely larger than what your client can see. So there is no point in zoom hacking and whatnot. And also there is almost no limit to the amount of players and other creatures and entities in general that can be in a limited area in the Fractured world thanks to Spatial OS. So the game will feature massive amount of monsters and massive fights between guilds and alliances of players, and the servers will be fine. Thank you, Spatial OS. So oh, here's a stag. Let's get him, let's get him, let's get him. Here we are. Nope, failed teleporting. Am I like too obsessed with virtual deer hunting? Well, whatever. Let's get rid of the green menace down here. And hold on, are these little goblins not animating while attacking us? Yeah, they're totally not. I guess that's the beauty of a one-shot recording. Let me add a note. Flay the developer. No, just kidding. So still on procedural war generation. Do you see this little encampment and also the larger one we're going to walk through later? Of course they are assembled by a game designer, but they are spawned in the world by an algorithm, right? The procedural generation algorithm. So when they are placed in the world, the terrain around them is also reshaped to host them. For example, large encampments are often located on top of a hill. And I know maybe I'm overly enthusiastic about this world building thing, but it's really cool because it allows us to build a truly massive world without requiring a truly massive team of game designers, which is probably not financially sustainable, right? So I guess it's about time I allow you to watch this gameplay without having to hear my endless commentary, which I hope you enjoyed anyway. Right after we are done cleaning this area, I'm going to show you a little bit of what was going on in the Spatial OS servers while we were playing. And now, music, maestro. So here we are in the Special OS Inspector, a very user-friendly view of what was going on in the server. This is where we started our journey, the player settlement. And let's check out some of the entities that we met during our travel. A fox, a bear, a pack of wolves, boars, then there are plenty of rabbits, I guess, and let's see if we can find a stag. Here it is. So, as you can see, the map is displayed in different colors. Okay, we've walked uphill, and at a certain point, and you didn't notice, we transitioned from the control of one worker to the control of a different server worker, which is a server process that manages the entities. And this area on top, full of wolves, is the one on the mountains. I've hinted to the fact that it was full of wolves. And this is at the transition between two server processes. One is brown, the other one is purple. And as I've mentioned, we walked north and we've crossed work and transition, and you didn't even notice. We moved our travel in the hills and in the mountains. This is the area after the bridge, the green one. And at the bottom, we've reached the goblin area. You can see plenty of goblins in green. And at the bottom, in the brown area again, it's the zone where we ended our travel with the ruins. So the fact that Special OS gives you this type of tool to control your server is really amazing, and it opens up a lot of possibilities in terms of management of the world and management of the players too. So I guess this is enough for the inspector. Thank you all for watching this video. Don't forget to sign up on fracturedmmo.com. And one big news, in the first week of May we're going to host our first live Q&A. You'll have the chance to ask us any question you want in a Twitch live stream. So stay tuned and enjoy Fractured.